Hello and welcome to Super Pants Gaming. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today I am taking you to Doncaster Gaming Market for a little look around before we head back here and see what amazing gaming goodies I've managed to pick up. See you there, people. As I've started doing, I've only actually taken footage from sellers where I've made my pickups, but I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone that we had the joy of meeting on the day. Yeah, so this Doncaster Gaming Market is definitely one of the bigger ones in the UK, and to be totally honest, I kind of think there's sort of like something for everyone here. Whether you've only got a few pounds to spend or you've got like a huge vast budget, I think, you know, you're going to be pretty happy here because there were games sort of to meet all budgets, if you like. And also games sort of from all generations. There was some like really kind of old Atari stuff, old Sega stuff and that, and then, you know, coming all the way up to sort of like modern stuff. There were PS5 games there, a lot of PS4 games, saw a lot of Switch stuff and that. I would say one thing about this market though, this particular time, we got absolutely cooked, and we've been cooked at this one before. Now, I think getting older, that bothers me a little bit more than it did sort of like a few years ago. Having a little look over some of the stalls here, let me know guys, what would you have actually picked up from Doncaster? Or maybe you did come and actually grabbed a few bits, let me know in the comments, that'd be awesome. So for me, I was kind of hoping to pick up a couple of bits from my Blast or Phoenix collection, a little bit of PS2 shovelware, that'd kind of be cool. But one of my sort of main sort of hunts, when I got there at least anyway, was for the OG Xbox, so I can sort of hopefully get towards finishing my Collectbox thing that I'm doing at the moment. Aside from that, there's always one or two Mega Drive games that I'm sort of after. I'm on a little bit of a kick for the Mega Drive at the moment, so that would be cool. And then we're probably looking more towards PlayStation. There's a couple of games on the Vita that I quite fancy. I'm hoping maybe finding one of those, that'd be awesome. There's a few games on the PlayStation 3, as you guys know, there's a little list to that. And then obviously on the PlayStation 4, I'm sort of mad keen on some of my indies, so maybe I can find something a little bit awesome there as well. And then, yeah, aside from that, it's always nice to come home with a magazine. Now, you guys know that I hate the word GRAIL because maybe I don't fully understand it, but if you guys wait around to the end of the video, then you'll get to see me pick up something that's pretty much as close to a GRAIL as I'm ever likely to get, to be totally honest. Now, I never used to fully understand why people like sort of looking at the shelves and looking at sort of the events and stuff like that and looking at people's stalls and stuff, but I had it explained to me a little while ago that it's kind of like window shopping, and to be totally honest, I kind of get it. I do it, I like recording it sort of thing as a little sort of time capsule for something that I can look back on in a few years and be like, oh yeah, I remember that event. But you know, I suppose to other people, they're just sort of having a little look, seeing what there was and sort of getting a bit of a feel for the event, so yeah. So I'm hoping that you guys enjoy this. I'm sorry if my camera work isn't too great today. I'm going to blame the heat, although most of it's probably just my camera work. And and I also completely forgot to take any aerial shots while I was actually at the event. And my sensible adult reminded me just as we were leaving, and I ran back in and took a very quick one of everybody packing up, just so you guys can sort of gauge the sort of scale of the event, if you like. So there you go. Let's head back and do some pickups. So which we have quite a lot of. So first things first, apologies if you guys can actually hear any background noise. I've got a fan on because anything above about 15 degrees and I turn into a complete mess, basically. So yeah, there you go. So that was Doncaster Gaming Market, June 2025. And we didn't get the early bird tickets. We opted for 12 o'clock tickets because I live about 3 hours away, and me and my sensible adult sort of quite like our lay-ins at weekends. So yes, so we didn't bother going for the early bird tickets where you sort of get there sort of 10:30, queue up and sort of get in, get all the awesome stuff sort of first doors. So we opted for sort of second doors, which were 12 o'clock. However, we didn't actually get there till 1, fashionably late as normal, I would say. And I spent the first hour and a half kind of like walking around the event. We didn't sort of zigzag in and out because it was still really busy and really quite packed and really a bit sticky in there, to be honest. And I was mainly looking for original Xbox games for my Collectbox thing. And we were just sort of nipping around, sort of getting in gaps where sort of, you know, at stores where people weren't, sort of thing, trying to sort of keep to ourselves and sort of try and find a couple of bargains. And there were a couple of games I was really after. There was Raises Hell and Still Life. That was the two that I was sort of really trying to sort of pinpoint to sort of pick up for the collection because I think they're going to be a little bit harder to get sort of going forward. And I got neither. So raised as hell, I saw 2 copies. One was £8, and I opened it up and looked at it, and the disc was, whoa, gone. Yeah, I'm like, no, not taking that home. And the other one was £20, which, to be honest, I thought was a little bit steep. But yeah, so I didn't even look at that. It looked like it had sleeve slip on the front as well. So, but I didn't open it. I'll see what was inside. You know, maybe it had like a chunk of gold in it. Yeah, solid gold disc. Make it worth £20. I don't know. But yeah, anyway. And Still Life, I saw 2 copies, and I believe both copies didn't have instruction manuals. And I'm trying to get them complete. So I was like, okay. So after an hour and a half, seriously, it gets to 2:30, I've not made a single pickup. And I turned to the sensible adult and I said, right, the next stall that we go to that's got anything that's on any of my want lists at all, whether it's a Blast game, whether it's a Xbox game, whether it's one of my PlayStation games or an indie that I'm after, I'm buying it. Honestly. And I went to the next stall, and the next stall happened to be a seller called Retrobit, who's an eBay seller. And the guy's name was Nick, and we had a good chat about Crash Time games and stuff on 360. I'm not quite sure how we got onto that, to be honest, but yeah. And he actually had a couple of Blast games. Now, the first one is a little bit weird, and I almost didn't pick it up, but it's Mr. Bean. Now, as you can see, it's a Blast game. Now, I don't know if you'll notice this straight off the bat, but that's in like a platinum case. And I was like, that's a bit weird. However, it's got like a Morrison's Game Zone sticker on the front. Now, this is the sort of game that would have been sold in Morrison's Game Zone. So I don't know how it's in a platinum case. I imagine someone's case swapped it, but it's a really nice looking platinum case. So it's not like someone's sort of taken the case off this for something else. Unless, I don't know, it's really weird, but I believe this should be in a blue case, and I will be putting it back in a blue case because, as you guys are probably aware, I've got about 200 spare cases up in my office. Well, they're not spare cases, they're on other games, but I mean, you know, it's probably 20 copies of FIFA, so it'll be getting a blue case, so it sort of doesn't look odd, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I grabbed that, and then he's got this other stack of games. So sorry if this is going to be waffly today. Like I said, it's too hot. So, and I promise this isn't all Blast as well, but the first few are. And then he's got another one, which is Thomas and Friends, A Day at the Races. Now, this does have a bit of sleeve slip at the top. However, inside, it's really nice. And the only thing that I can really fault it for is the sleeve slip. But because it's a Blast game, I'm not quite as precious on it, sort of thing. As long as it's complete, you know, I can cope with a little bit of that on it. And he had these up combined, that would have been £9, but he said I could have £1 off each, so they were basically 7. So I thought that was all right, and I just needed to get the pickup started, to be totally honest, because I've been there. It's like literally it closed at 4 o'clock, I think, and it was like half my time had sort of gone, and I'd bought nothing. So I was like, yeah, gotta buy them. So that was the first couple of pickups, and from there I kind of opened the shovelware floodgates, should we say. Because the next pickup, so I believe I'm getting this in order, and there's a couple of people, I'm terribly sorry, because it was one of the hottest days of the year. After I'd been there about an hour, I think my head just kind of went, and yeah, I'd started forgetting people's names and what was going on, and it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. But yeah, but that's me through and through, I think. So I can't remember the guy's name. I'm terribly sorry for that. But another Blast game, Charlotte's Web, and as you can see, I like that sort of labelling. Yeah, great big bold labelling, £1. I like that. So yeah, I thought you can't go wrong for £1, and this again is in absolutely fabulous condition. So, I mean, for £1, it's probably terrible, but it doesn't look that bad on the back, to be honest. 19 adventure-packed mini-games. So keep out of trouble. 3 playable characters. There you go. I just hope it's not a fighting game then. But yeah. Charlotte's Web for £1, another one for the Blast collection. And then we kept going around, basically, and we got to a friend's store, Darren, who I've bought things off before. Now, in the past, I've pretty much always bought Phoenix off him, so it's almost a bit of a joke in a way that I'm the guy that buys all the shovelware. And I say to him this time, it's like, oh, mate, I've started collecting the Blast games. Yeah, and he was like, oh, right. So obviously, I think I've already sort of cleared out the Phoenix stuff that he had that I sort of wanted. So I started looking over for some Blast games, and we got chatting. He's the guy whose wife did the London Marathon for charity, which was absolutely amazing. So we had a little bit of a chat about that, and yeah, wow, anyone that can do that, just absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's way beyond anything that I could consider doing, to be honest. I think that's absolutely an incredible feat to take, and yeah, amazing challenge. So yeah. But he had a couple of blast games there, and what I've basically picked up are, we got Bob the Builder, which looks terrible, and AMF Extreme Bowling 2006. Yeah, and as you can see, if I don't cover it up, they are again both blast games. So I am sorry about this. That looks god awful. That's an iToy game, same as the Thomas and Friends game, Day at the Races. That's an iToy game as well. I'm kind of dreading playing these, if I'm honest, but it will definitely be entertaining. And this AMF Extreme Bowling, it says ZeniMax on the back. Now ZeniMax, they're the parent company of Bethesda, aren't they? So I mean, I'm hoping that this is at least as good as Fallout 76. It should be. So yeah, I mean, even being a blast game, it should be, let's be honest. So yeah, there's those two. And these are both nice and complete as well. I have had them out of the bags. I might have put them back in the wrong bags. I can't remember, but one was £2, one was £2.50. I'll take them out now actually and show you while I'm at it. So for any of you that care, not planned this very well, have I, people? So AMF Extreme Bowling 2006, again, awesome condition inside. We like that. And then Bob the Builder. Where's the flap? There it is. Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? No, it's going to be absolutely trash. So, something like that, wasn't it? But, yeah, anyway. Moving on. Now, I promise you guys, this is the last Blast game, and then we're getting on some seriously awesome games. So, the last Blast game, again, I think I missed it. Oh no, I think this might be, there's another guy that stalls out like with Tutor UK, or sort of stalls out near him sort of thing a lot of time that I see at the markets. I can't remember his name, but I have bought from him before. I think it was him that I got the thing from. I'm not totally sure, but I know I've bought a couple of games from him in the past. Casper, the Ghostly Trio, nice guy. And yeah, £3. So, yeah, this doesn't look that dreadful. Sort of like a 3D platformer, maybe? I'm not totally sure. But, yeah. I mean, that might be alright. That might be alright. But, there we go. I've opened him up so you guys can see, as always. Yeah. So, and now it's basically gone sort of 4 o'clock, and all I've managed to do is buy an absolute stack of Blast games. And I said to my sensible, I said, right, do not let me buy any more Blast games, because we did not come to Doncaster to buy Blast games. I was hoping to pick a couple up, but I said, I've got 6. My bag is full of shovelware. I said, I really need to be getting something that's absolutely awesome, something that I can't just sort of get anywhere else sort of thing. So when we got there, I sort of darted around, and then we sort of started sort of zigzagging in and out sort of thing. And down the far end, there was Super Ashigimu, sort of just along from Sega Mags, and then there was Forgotten Worlds in the corner. I'd seen Forgotten Worlds. Right in the corner, there was a big box of Vita games, and I was like really sort of keen to sort of try and pick one of the couple of Vita games up that I was after. And I was like, oh, I need to get in there later. But every time I looked over, it was packed, and there were people like rooting through it. And it's like, we'll get there at some point. And then the back wall where Super Ashigimu and Sega Mags were was pretty packed when we got to it. So I said to my sensible adult, I said, right, we'll just come back towards the end. And, you know, so I kind of wanted to sort of say hello and, you know, to sort of get in properly and, you know, have a bit of a natter. Because I quite like chatting with people and stuff. So despite it being about 6,000 degrees, as it is in here right now. So I got there and I started looking. I went to Super Ashigimu and I started looking through his PlayStation 3 stuff and said, hi, how you doing and stuff. And we had a little bit of a chat. And I said, there's one of the Blaze Blue games that I was after. And there were 2 Blaze Blue games there on the PlayStation 3. So I pulled them both out and I looked and I said to my sensible, I can't remember which one of these 2 it was that I was going to pick up. So I gave them to my sensible adult hold for a second. I said, here, just hold these sort of thing. And those games, I may as well show you, are there. And Blaze Blue, Chrono Phantasma. These are obviously Japanese games. All the stuff on his store is Japanese. so import games. So that everything's in amazing condition on his stall as well. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he gets the stuff in this nick. There's never anything like at all bad. It's just all absolutely spot on sort of thing. And that was Blaze Blue Continuum Shift. And I couldn't think for the life of me. I think my head had sort of completely, I'd just gone into meltdown sort of thing. So my sensible out was holding those, and I said, right, let's just have a look, and I might just grab both of them, because, you know, it's like, I think they were 3 for £12 if I'm remembering rightly. Sorry about that, the recording stopped, not quite sure what happened there. I'm not quite sure where I was either. So I think basically my sensible adult was holding these two, because I couldn't quite remember which one of the two it was that I was sort of after. I was looking through, and there was a game that I saw when I went over, and it's one of the games that was actually on my sort of PS3 want list, and one of the games that I was really hoping to pick up. I was kind of hoping to pick up a PAL copy. I hadn't actually considered a Japanese copy until I saw it there, and that game is Demon Souls. Now, I picked this up, and I said to Ian, the chap there, Subarashi Gimu, I said, I don't know if I'm brave enough to attempt this, like, in the Japanese, like, Japanese version sort of thing, because, you know, I'm not going to understand it. And he said one of his regulars uses, like, Google Glass to sort of, like, translate it for him. And I thought, oh, now that's a pretty good idea, because I can do that for, like, the menus and all that sort of stuff, and sort of get a vague understanding of sort of what I'm doing. And I know that's meant to be relatively tough. I don't think it's meant to be that hard, though. So I may have a little pop at this and see how far we can get through it, sort of thing, in Japanese. And yeah, that will definitely be interesting. I'll be honest, I absolutely love the artwork on this. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I haven't tried it yet, but I will try it. And I'm holding this, and I'm umming and ahhing, and then I've sense about it's got these two, and Ian just turns to me and says, mate, stick them in the bag, they're yours. And I was like, excuse me? It was like, mate, honestly, I've had such an amazing day. He said, you take them. He said, I've got loads of copies of those anyway. He said, honestly, I won't miss them. Just take them, stick them in your bag, don't want anything for them. I was like, mate, I've got to give you something for them. And when he get my wallet out, I was like, no, honestly, they're yours, take them. He said, and then if you've got a problem with the language, it's not a problem, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, mate, I was really touched, like really touched, and if it hadn't been quite so warm, I would have hugged him. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, wow, what a guy, and yeah, absolutely amazing. So that's 3 Japanese PS3 games added to the collection for free as a gift from a friend, and I'm massively taken back by that, to be honest. And if you were wondering, at the Blaze Blue games, the one it was that I wanted was Chrono Phantasma. That's the one that I was supposed to be picking up. It's just the cover's way different to sort of like the PAL covers. And I think in my head, I kind of work on the pictures on the covers a lot. So when I see covers and I'm not completely familiar with them, I'm like, was it that one or was it that one? Sort of thing. So yes, but I think I showed you that just before it cut off anyway. So, but there you go. You get to see it again, because yeah, reversible sleeve and everything. And oh, wow. It's got all these awesome bits in as well. It's like, yeah, I'm just faffing now, aren't I, people? But yeah, there you go. Got no idea what that says, but but there you go. I may as well blind you with it. Yes. So that was some awesome little PlayStation 3 pickups there, and I was mad pleased with that. Now, I said to my sensible adult, I said, next I want to pop Sega mags, because earlier on like the way around, I'd seen some Xbox magazines, and they were literally the exact magazines I wanted. So I wanted a couple of like official original Xbox magazines, and there was a big box on the floor, and Sensible Adult actually pointed them out to me. And I said, I'm definitely going back and getting those, but I want to get like a magazine from Sega Mags as well, ideally an old Sega mag. So I go up and have a little chat with the guy, and unfortunately, he's sold all the Sega mags, because I asked for like Mega or Sega Power or that sort of stuff. And he said to hit him up on Facebook, which I'm still going to do, and I will do that, because he reckoned he had a couple that he hadn't actually sorted through yet, and there'd be a couple that would be available, sort of thing. So unfortunately, I think this is the first event that I've ever been to where Sega Mags has been there, and I haven't actually got a magazine from him. So yeah, that was a bit like, okay. But I did go back and I did pick up the other magazines from the other seller, and the other seller was an eBay seller called Classic Gamer, and he had this sort of decent sized box of magazines on the floor, and they were all £1. And I had a little look in, and there's original Xbox magazines. Now, these don't have the demo discs or anything, but I don't really want the demo disc, to be honest. I just kind of want the magazines. I just want the articles, I want to read the reviews, and sort of look at the adverts, you know, because these things are just absolutely amazing. I love old magazines. So I picked three magazines out of the box, basically, which is these try not bend them and drop them too much, which are these 3 magazines here. And I said to the guy, "Hi mate, I'll have these 3 please." And he said, "Oh, just give me £2 for them." I was like, "Oh wow, thanks dude." You know what I mean? So I was literally quite happy to pay the £3. And he said, "I'll tell you what mate, you can have the whole box for a £5 if you want." And I look and I'm like, oh. I look at the Sensible Adult and I'm like, my thought is, this is going to sound really terrible, I couldn't be bothered to carry them back to the car. Because most of the other magazines in the box, there were a couple that I've already got, and some of them were like sort of PlayStation 2 magazines and stuff, similar sort of era to this. But I've got kind of the ones that I want, and do I really want another 20-25 magazines? Probably not. It would have been an absolute bargain, I guarantee that, you know what I mean? That would have been absolutely awesome. But one of the hottest days of the year, I'm sweating pints, I'm absolutely knackered. Do I want to carry a box of magazines back to the car? Because, you know, these things get weighty when you get sort of 20 or 30 of them together. And I declined. But the guy came, he had a little poke through the box, and like I'm just getting the couple of quid out of my pocket sort of thing. And he says, "Oh, mate, yeah, I'll have that one as well then." And he chucked that one in as well, like completely free, and said, "Hey, I'll just have, yeah, take that one with you as well," sort of thing. I'm just trying to get rid of them. I was like, "Oh, thanks, mate." So basically, I got 4 Xbox magazines. I've never read Xbox Gamer before, so that'll be interesting. I've not looked through it yet either. I've looked through a couple of these, and they're awesome. So, but basically, 4 original Xbox magazines, sort of, because I'm doing it with that stuff, sort of thing, for £2, and I thought that was an absolute bargain. Now, I've got one place left to go, which I mentioned earlier, which was Forgotten Worlds, because I wanted to get over there because I was pretty sure that I was going to be able to get one of my Vita games. So I get over, there's this great big box of Vita stuff, and oh my god, I'm sure I would have clipped a little bit in, or I'm maybe doing that now, I don't know. But the stuff in that box was, whew, some stuff in there I've never seen before. And the whole stall, Forgotten Worlds stall, wow. I think my Sensible Adult found a Phoenix game for me, which was Cinderella, and she pulls it out and she says, "Oh, I found Cinderella, £50. Yeah, you can put Cinderella back at £50, but yeah, I mean, it's worth that, don't get me wrong, but wow, Phoenix games, yeah. He had a copy of Snow White as well at the back. Copies of like Gun Club, I saw several copies of Rule of Rose, but I mean, that's common now, isn't it? And what was the other? Samurai Western. He had a copy of Samurai Western, which I probably should have had a bit better look at, to be honest, but there was nothing doing for the Vita. But just along from the Vita box, there's this little box with PlayStation 3 games in. And I thought, well, let's just have a little look. It's unlikely, because the other game that I'm really after on the PlayStation 3, I've mentioned a couple of times this year, I nearly bought a copy of it a little while ago. And it's there in the box. And I'm like, I can't believe it. It's the only one that I've seen on the gaming market. So I pull it out, and 3D Dot Game Heroes, £62. So I pull it out, I have a little look, and it is like, it's pretty much pristine inside. It's, yeah. So I say to the guy, I say, "Hi bud, what is the absolute best you can do on this sort of thing?" And he looks at his watch and sees it's like 5 to 4. I think that may have played a part, sort of thing, you know. And I said, "I'm paying cash," because I think that helps as well sometimes, people. And he said the absolute best I can do on that is 50. And yeah, I almost like yanked his arm off. I was like, yes, take that. Yeah, because, you know, you guys know that has been on my want list since 2020. It's the oldest game on my want list, and it's finally it's made its way up to the top. It was literally, because I do my want list, it's kind of like ordered. The stuff at the top of it is the stuff I want more than the stuff at the bottom of it. But I always put things on at the bottom, and then they sort of work up, sort of thing. This has actually made itself to the top. It was 3rd, I think, at the beginning of the year, but then I bought Outer Wilds and Maiden of Blackwater, both on the PS4. They were 1 and 2 at the beginning of the year. This was number 3. And yeah, mad please. This was actually £25 when I stuck it on the want list, and then it sort of went like that, as a lot of them do. So I kind of wish I'd bought it back in 2020 when it went on, but I am so pleased to get this, because, you know, this is kind of like a FromSoft Zelda game on the PS3. And it's, yeah, It's very much a one-off. I played the first little bit of it, and yeah, it's really good. I'm really, really pleased I got this. I was worried that I might not like it, but nah, this was solid. Really, really good pickup for me for this. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm very excited by this, and this is now, I don't know, this might, recency bias, you see. This is one of my favourite PS3 games because I bought it recently, but I'm sure I said that about the other 50 odd that I've bought that I think are absolute bangers that are over there as well. Well, there's more than 50, but yeah, you know what I mean. But anyway, 3D Dot Game Heroes, that was my sort of main purchase of the day, and that, with the free games that I got from Subarashi Gimu, I think made the day worth it, sort of thing. Because I was, after an hour and a half, after 2 hours when I'd only been buying Blast stuff and that, I was starting to think maybe this wasn't worth it. We'd been absolutely cooked. We'd spent a fortune on petrol. It takes 3 hours to get there and back. I just said to my sensible out, so I've got to get something big. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, that's coming home with me. that's got to be it. That's got to be what makes the day. And Forgotten Worlds, I had an awesome chat with the guys there as well. Absolutely brilliant people. They're from Kilmarnock, and I was actually chatting with them, chatting about them with Gib84 Gaming up in Scotland a couple of weeks ago, or well, about a month ago now, I guess. And yeah, I said that I'd have to go up to Kilmarnock and have a look. And I said that to them as well. I said, yeah, I'll definitely be coming up and having a little look in your shop. So, and I stood there, made this negotiation. I turned around and there's a life-size Pennywise stood behind me. And I was like, oh my God. That was kind of awesome as well. So, but that was 650 quid, so I didn't bring that home. And it was also rather large. I would have to just sort of sit it in the window in the front room to scare the neighbours. But anyway, waffle aside... Hope everyone's doing well. Hope it's not too hot for everyone. Remember, you're awesome. I've been Soup. Thanks so much for being here, people. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.